Stuffed with goat cheese and prosciutto and smothered in a rich mushroom and Marsala wine sauce, you've never had pork tenderloin like this before. And we'll serve it alongside some parmesan and garlic smashed potatoes. So of course we'll begin with one pork tenderloin. This is about 1.5 pounds of pork tenderloin, and I imagine this should serve 3 to 4 people. We're going to go ahead and clean this up by removing any large pieces of fat, and as you'll see, most pork tenderloins have a large amount of silver skin on them. So just slide your knife in underneath that silver skin all the way through, pull it up, and use the sharp edge of the knife to cut against the grain of the meat. Should just slide that silver skin right off. Takes a little bit of practice, but it's not too hard if you've got a good sharp knife. You could absolutely use a large chicken breast or even a filet mignon or chateaubriand cut of filet for this if you wanted to get really super fancy, but I'm just going to use this tenderloin here, cut it down the middle. We do not want to cut it all the way in half. We just want to make several cuts right in the middle of the meat, sort of open it up like a book as you see here. You can use some nice shallow cuts there just to make sure you're not going all the way through. Once you've got it fairly well opened up, we'll go ahead and press down, spread it out like a book, and then use a sheet of plastic wrap or parchment paper to cover the meat up. Then grab yourself a meat mallet or the flat side of a skillet and pound this out until the meat is even in thickness and as close to about 1/2 inch or so in thickness as you can get, but if it's a little thicker, that's okay. It's just going to make it difficult to completely roll out or roll up. Of course, we'll season that very thoroughly with some freshly cracked pepper and a strong pinch of salt. We'll season the outside as well, but seasoning the inside is a great way to make sure we have tasty bites all throughout. Next up, I'm going to grab a little block of goat cheese. This works a lot better if it's at room temperature, but it's okay if it's cold. Just add that to the middle, followed by 5 to 6 slices of prosciutto. This should be something like 2 ounces or so of prosciutto. It's mostly there to add flavor. Once you've got that down, we'll go ahead and press everything flat, and then go ahead and take one side and pick it up and tightly roll this thing up. Some of you out there may have some experience doing something like this. I, however, am somewhat of an amateur, but I was able to get all the contents rolled up on the inside, and now we'll go back through and tie this up, just so it helps keep its shape in the oven and cook as evenly as possible. I'm going to use 3 to 4 pieces of butcher's twine. Just give that one little knot. Don't pull it too tight, just tight enough to keep that meat together, and then one over the top to keep it sealed. Next up, set your oven to 375 degrees, and in the meantime, turn a cast iron skillet onto medium-high heat. Add in some olive oil or the oil of your choosing, and we're going to brown this tenderloin on all 4 sides. I realize it's round, but it kind of has 4 sides, right? So we'll also season the outside with more fresh cracked pepper and a nice pinch of salt. Once we've got some color on that first side, just go ahead and give it a turn. We'll rinse and repeat. It should take about 3 to 4 minutes a side. Once you've got color on all 4 sides, we'll add in 16 ounces of sliced cremini mushrooms. I took a shortcut and got the ones that were already sliced and cleaned, but of course you can clean and slice your own. And then we'll season those with salt and pepper and pop this into that 375 degree oven until that pork is cooked through to our liking. In the meantime, we can make those mashed potatoes. So I've got some baby red potatoes here. If they're real small like that, just drop them on in. If they're larger, you can halve them or quarter them. We're going to add them to a large pot of water that is heavily seasoned with salt. Bring it up to a boil and cook them until they are fork tender, at which point we'll drain them, add in a few tablespoons of butter, followed by a splash of milk. And guys, as always, the suggested amounts and the instructions will be down below in the description of this video, as always. We gotta season those potatoes with some fresh cracked pepper and a strong pinch of salt because potatoes need seasoning. Next up, I'm gonna add in 3 to 4 cloves of crushed or minced or jarred garlic. Give them a nice smash, and then we're just gonna add additional liquids and fats here as we see fit. I'm going in with an extra splash of milk, followed by about 1/4 cup of sour cream for some body and tanginess. Once those reach the consistency that you're looking for, we're going to add the final touch, which is a little bit of freshly grated Parmesan cheese. That is, of course, optional, but it adds a nice creaminess and tang. Again, once they're to your desired consistency, just pop the lid back on and set them aside. They should retain their heat for plenty of time for us to finish up this dish. Alright, there's our cooked pork tenderloin fresh out of the oven. It needs plenty of time to rest, so just set that aside for about 10 to 15 minutes and we'll make our Marsala sauce. Quite alright if some of that cheese leaches out into the sauce, that's going to be extra flavor. We're going to add in 1 sliced shallot, 2 or 3 minced garlic cloves, return this to medium-high heat. Just stir that around until those shallots are beginning to soften and you can smell that garlic getting nice and fragrant. At which point we will add in a couple more tablespoons of unseasoned, or unsalted I should say, butter. Let that melt. And at that point, we'll go ahead and add in 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. And this is going to give a nice body to our sauce, of course creating a roux. Go ahead and stir that flour around until it is thoroughly absorbed into that butter and any of the liquids in the bottom of that skillet and is getting nice and toasty in the pan. And it is at this time we will bring our star ingredient to the show, which is of course the Marsala wine. And here I strongly encourage you to go to your local liquor store or wine shop and get good quality real Marsala wine. If you use the stuff that you'll find on the shelf in the vinegar section at your grocery store, I mean, it's okay, but it's not nearly going to have the same depth of flavor and body and great taste as authentic Marsala wine. Anyways, we'll add that in, stir it around, scrape up the fond, reduce, add a little bit of chicken stock until we get the texture and consistency that we're looking for. I've got this over medium heat. We're just going to reduce this down by about 1/3 or so. That's looking absolutely beautiful. You can finish this with a little bit of more butter if you'd like. As always, taste for salt and pepper. This was just perfect, and so I think we are ready to plate this dish up. I went ahead and removed the twine from my tenderloin, and let's go ahead and cut this into a few medallions. It's okay if some of that cheese leaches out. We're going to add it all back in. So I went ahead and added a couple medallions with that ooey gooey goat cheese, some of those smashed parmesan and sour cream red potatoes, and of course we can't forget that luxurious, gorgeous Marsala mushroom wine sauce. We'll spoon some of that right over the top. And of course, this being dishing out, I had to finish this with a little bit of a garnish of some sliced green onions, but some fresh parsley or absolutely nothing at all would be just all right here. Of course, being a tenderloin, this was super easy to cut. Look at that beautiful flavor we got on the outside, still absolutely pink, moist, and beautiful on the inside. Let's give it a try. Now, I am a known sucker for pork tenderloin. Between the cost per pound, the tenderness, and the versatility, it's absolutely one of my favorite cuts of beef, or pork. Sorry, got carried away. Beef tenderloin, great too. Anyways, these potatoes, absolutely phenomenal. Homemade mashed potatoes are a thing of beauty, and with a little bit of sour cream and that Parmesan addition, these are delightful. Also love the fact they have a lot of texture because we didn't over mash them. Everything together is just a bite of bliss. I hope you'll give this a try. Take chicken Marsala and throw it out the window because stuffed pork Marsala is the new way to have it. Thanks so much for watching, and now it's your turn to go make something delicious.